Welcome to the Weaving Magic podcast. I'm your host, Tara Webb.
And I'm your host, Alyssa Lilly.
And we want to get more magical. I feel like we've talked so much about...
really deep things, and it's time to have fun.
Yeah, weaving magic was basically weaving magic throughout your daily life. And we do that with your creativity, your inner child, all that kind of stuff. But let's get into the practical aspects of it. Mm-hmm. I.e. divination is a huge one because I feel like the first thing people kind of dive into when they're coming into the idea of spirituality and
witches,
that kind of thing, is pulling cards immediately.
Tarot cards, oracle cards, all the cards, affirmation cards.
Which cards actually originated from, not drawing cards, what are they called? Playing cards. Mm-hmm. That's how they actually used to do divination card-wise. But let's go over just some different types of divination.
Oh, there's so many.
There are.
So we talked about tarot cards and oracle cards already. Mm-hmm. There's pendulums. Mm-hmm. There's
candle magic in the sense of reading a flame.
Or reading the candle wax.
The candle wax as well. Mm-hmm. Feathers outside or signs outside in that sense. Any kinds of signs.
Tea leaf readings.
Tea leaf. Mm-hmm. Also numbers. Numerology.
Oh, yeah.
Or looking at 111. That kind of thing. That's a form of divination as well.
I feel like some people even just tap into divination just channeling. Allowing it to tap into it, into that meditative state almost, into channel.
But would that be divination? Because isn't divination using a tool for something?
Is it?
I don't know. Because channeling, I feel like, is something else.
I don't know. In my mind, I feel like channeling is a form of divination. Because I feel like divination is the translation of messages from the universe, right?
Divination is the practice of seeking knowledge of the future or the unknown by supernatural means. So yes, but only if it's looking for future and for signs.
Okay.
To read what's coming up kind of thing.
So then communicating with spirits would not be divination?
If they're giving you tips and advice for future stuff, maybe. There's also a ball.
Crystal ball?
A crystal ball that you can read through. There's more. I can't.
I'm trying to think of what's considered divination now.
Crystal grids, maybe too.
Crystal grids.
Because when I think of when you're thinking of divination of
I think Ouija boards, but then that's not technically divination because you're talking to spirits and not.
Mm-hmm. And then you also look at the idea when you connect with past lives and that kind of stuff. Depending on how that's done.
I feel like that gets a little tricky because time is all happening at the same time. Uh-huh. So what do you mean when you mean future from my present moment where I am right now? Mm-hmm. Because our past, present, and future timelines are all happening simultaneously.
And, there's also the concept of the weaver. What's the word? I always forget it when I'm in the midst of talking about it for the Norse word that we talk about.
Oh, Seder.
Yeah.
Cedar magic.
And that's weaving within the future of knowing what somebody, seeing their different paths and be able to choose for them.
I don't know if it's choosing for them. I think it's helping them be aware of the result of their choices. Right?
Yes, but they're making that, they're actually putting it in the play.
Oh, okay. Putting it into
yes, because what they do is here's your choices, kind of. And people are oh, I don't want that awful consequence right now. It's no, that actually is great for the long run kind of idea.
Runes. What's another one?
Yes, runes that I have them literally right over here beside me.
Bones. People use bones kind of like runes.
Technically, you could even look at animals. Dead animals inside.
Oh, too. Yeah. It's not a tradition I practice, but I do know it is a tradition that is practiced. Ink.
Spilled ink, or ink artwork, because that's also going into psychology.
Yeah.
And what comes out from those and who you are.
But is that future or past? I keep getting caught up on this.
I think it's more of present too. Because who are you kind of feel.
Deep questions.
Yeah, that's where those go. So there's a lot of tools for divination.
There is. You can use almost anything for divination. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really want to sit and ask a question and put your intention to what you're using, it could be spilled water.
Yes.
Spilled coffee on a piece of paper.
And even then, not reading that, but saying, oh, I spilled coffee. What is that sign? What am I not paying attention to?
Would divination, would it be counted if you have premonitions? Would that be a form of divination?
Probably.
Yeah.
Which I think could be dreams too.
Yeah.
That's a huge one.
Dreams and what's it called when you can control and move through your dreams? There's a term for that.
Dream walking, but it's not it.
No, you know what I'm talking about though.
I do.
People practice it and it takes a lot of work.
It does. And it's dangerous in some ways too.
Yeah.
Unless you really know how to do it. And that's where like you will hear from people, you shouldn't pull cards unless you know what you're doing. And there's a mixture of that.
Yeah. I mean, trust your intuition, right? But I also think when we're practicing things like magic, if we are ourselves standing in our integrity and in a high frequency and trusting ourselves, we're going to attract what we're feeling in that moment. So if you're feeling fear or feel like you're going to be in danger, then you're attracting that versus feeling confident in your safety. Yeah. And there are tools you can use to help that confidence in your safety, but really the magic is you.
Because I mean, whenever I started joining into like the witchiness of things and diving in,
there's a lot of protective stuff, which is good.
There is, but I also like was so scared to just do things.
I'm going to do it wrong. I need to get exactly wrong, step by step.
And we've talked about that on how there is a wrong way and there's not. Only in the sense of like doing harm to others and that kind of thing.
And not everybody lives by those rules either, because there's people who believe and are okay with cursing and karma and sending it back. So there's what is wrong and what is right.
Yeah. And so like I saw someone on Instagram being like, it's so dangerous because you're connecting with spirits, you're connecting with those ancestors or whoever that actually aren't good for you. And so to actually know how to do it, you should join my course because I can directly lead you through this. And it's just like, yes. There's some truth in that, but also
you're not the gatekeeper for all things. Yeah.
Like at all. For anybody. I mean, it's just, you can do like a lot of research on your own. That's what a lot of divination practice was and stuff too. In the very beginning stages of like just kind of figuring things out.
Well, and that's a lot of times like with card pulling, sometimes the cards don't resonate and you're like, okay, this isn't for right now. We'll try again later. And it's just,
or you're pulling and like your mindset's wrong too.
Yeah. You're not in the headspace for it. So it's really about, again, trusting yourself and deciphering what translates to you and what doesn't.
I've gotten the ritual of pulling cards every morning. And I noticed today as I was pulling them, because I typically journal before and then I pull. I didn't journal today. And I noticed as I was pulling them, it was more of like a pull, read, write down, okay, yeah, kind of thing. And it wasn't like really seeing the integration and really thinking about it. And
it's more like an automatic.
It was. And I noticed it. And so like, I was like, okay, so how can I make this more intentional? And I didn't do that this morning to like make it more intentional. It's more of a thought process of, it is important to pull cards for me every day to like really just be in the present moment, but also it becomes so automatic that you just like stop finding magic in it almost. It's like making your tea sometimes. And if you make tea every single day, you forget to really relish and it's going down your throat and like the enjoyment of that kind of thing too. So this will be a short episode. So we want to kind of dive into like how you can do that when you feel busy.
Yeah. Because
that's the big thing on, I can't do these elaborate practices, full moon practices, sitting in meditation for hours.
I don't have like 4 hours in the morning to do.
Or like, cacao, it's beautiful to have cacao is another one too. To be able to sit with cacao and pull your cards and have the music and like all that kind of stuff. It is just fabulous. But when you don't have that time, you feel like you're stepping out of the magic and that it's no longer there. And that's actually not really true because we see it as the magic is in the mundane. The magic is throughout your everyday, whatever you're doing. So you're incorporated in what you're doing. If you are driving to work in the morning, maybe taking the time to notice the signs around you and be more peaceful, right? Not filling the silence. I feel like that's a big thing, is like we're in a hurry, or we have to listen to a podcast on the way. We have to listen to music. I'm a big music person, like have to constantly feel that versus just, and I'm saying like the entire car ride, if it's like a 30-minute one, 5-10 minutes of, I'm just going to be present for this time period and really paying attention to what's around me, what my thoughts are, and that kind of thing. That's bringing magic back in.
I also think it's fun too, I'll play devil's advocate a little bit with music. I think it's fun to put it on shuffle and notice the songs that are coming up and what it's invoking in you. I know it's not really divination per se, but I do think that it can help sometimes with guidance. I've had songs pop up at the perfect time, and I'm just like, this wasn't even on my playlist. Where did this come
It can
from?
help uplift your spirit to feel better to do divination.
Shift your energy.
Because I feel like when we start getting the practices of what we're doing every day and don't step into the divination area as well, like we forget about it, avoid it, we feel like we have to get ourselves ready. We do have to kind of like shed some of that energy sometimes of like releasing that before diving in. Not a huge thing, and even just that is enough. Just like, okay, we're doing this. And so music can help you get to that point. Pulling a quick card.
It's okay to pull quick cards.
And I would say you don't even have to look at the description of it. Pull it, look at it. What does it mean to me? Right? Cool. And if the book doesn't even say that's what it means, it doesn't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to write it down. You can just take it in for a second.
Trust your intuition.
Drinking your tea or your coffee. And I'm going to tell her that would be divination, because that's like more of an everyday thing, though. Because once again, it's the stepping of like divination.
What is divination? Where is that line? I think it's wherever you decide to make it. I think pulling a quick card is good, but that's with anything. Pendulum, you can ask a quick yes or no question. It doesn't.
I know what you could do is choosing your clothes in the morning. What should I wear? The first thing that stands out to me. And you're tapping back in really quickly, or like touching into your womb of like, what should I wear today? Which cup should I use? Like those fun little things. Should I be specific about my spoon? Yes. Just finding fun ways to do it. And if you do it with the kids, of asking your kids to divinate.
Oh, you should
divine.
You should tell them what you did with the kids with your pendulum.
Yeah, we used it to see the baby, of like the sex of the baby. Because, they have the ring they talk about that's your wedding ring or engagement ring or something. And that's essentially divination right there. And so I had each of them, like with the pendulum that Alyssa got me, yes, our girl and boy and that kind of thing. And, put it over my belly and see. And kids love that kind of stuff. They love anything to just, one, to do anything of what you're doing. Just period. And two,
especially magical things.
Yeah, especially magical things. I would say like even going for a walk and picking up a rock or a feather or seeing a mushroom and just seeing what does that mean for me.
Yeah. I love when I see something reoccurring, like a specific animal that reoccurs in my day, like taking the time in the evening, like looking up what are the correspondences for that animal? What could this be trying to bring a message to me about?
I notice things whenever I've like spilled something multiple times, or if I've broken something. What is that coming up for me? Am I not being cognizant of my surroundings enough? Those kinds of things are big signs for me, because I feel like when I spill something multiple times, not the same thing, but like if something happens like that, I make a mess multiple times, I get frustrated at myself. And it's like, okay, where am I being too quick? Where am I not being present?
Where do I need to pause?
So even like that kind of thing is a divination for me to be able to like really tune back in.
I would also say
clouds.
Oh yeah, clouds are a good one.
What do you see in the clouds, and what does that mean?
Yeah.
Or the shapes of the shadows of the clouds on the ground.
I didn't even think about that. Or even,
I was seeing the sun.
Or even looking at the stars and the shapes that you see in the stars. I see shapes everywhere. Sometimes I'm in the shower. My shower has this weird texture to it. And sometimes I see images like pop out of a person or a battle or whatever. And it's different every time. And what is that I'm seeing mean to me? And what is that trying to tell me?
Definitely. I took your thought.
You did. It's gone. It's fine. Oh, no, I remember. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
I think that we need to give ourselves permission to see or accept when we do see little glimpses into the future, because we do it all the time. Not everybody, but I know that people do it a lot.
Deja vu.
Oh my gosh. So one example would be, I used to have this beautiful witch's ball. It basically looks like a glass globe and the light shines through it and it's stunning. I loved it. I had it hanging in my kitchen window. And I remember one time I saw myself drop it and break it in my mind's eye, and I was decorating. I was like, no, it's fine. I'm going to leave it up. I don't need to take it down while I'm decorating. And not even 10 minutes later, I was on the ladder in the exact same step that I saw in my mind's eye, and it fell and it shattered exactly as I saw it. Yeah. And I, giving myself permission to say, I just saw the future.
Even your intuition of that feeling.
Yeah.
I should
put that away.
I should move that drink.
Yeah, and give yourself permission to do that. I should move that away.
I don't always listen to it, and every time I don't listen to it, something happens.
Every freaking time.
I was actually talking with a friend yesterday where they're like, oh, I should go check on my son or whatever, and they didn't. There's like this whole kerfunkle that happened, kind of thing. And so it's like you just see different.
Your intuition is telling you, hey, you need to do this, and it can be subtle things like moving your drink away from the edge, or putting your hand over the corner of the table before your kid runs into it, like all kinds of different things. And it may not feel magical because it's very mundane, but it is magical. You're literally seeing the future and seeing ways that you can intervene from something happening.
Like one of mine being, I need to put the dogs up, and then chewing up one of my son's favorite toys.
Yep.
Like things like that. Like I knew it and I didn't do it. I was like, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. And it'll be fine. That's what we always think. So your challenge for this week is to find mundane magic. Mm-hmm. Where can you divinate? I don't know if that's like a verb. A verb. I don't know what the verb of divination is. Where can you practice divination without it being just huge? Like let it just be the very simple something for you, right? Divination. Find your one-stop divination.
You know what I think I'm going to do? Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to get the end of my cup of tea or coffee, and I'm going to spill it over a canvas and then do pin art over it just to see like what creation comes out of it, because it gets my creativity going, but also what images and messages are going to come through.
And you're also not wasting, per se, the drink either, because you typically just wash it down the drain.
Yeah.
So have a wonderful week of divinating. Magic Weavers. Join us next time.
This concludes another episode of our Weaving Magic podcast.
We release one episode a week, so be sure to subscribe to catch the latest episode as soon as it releases. You can find us on Instagram at Weaving Magic Podcast. That's Weaving Magic, MAGICK Podcast.
We would also love it if you could leave us a review. If you do, make sure to email us your review so we can send you a thank you gift. Thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to find a way to weave magic into your daily life.